stream here?
Yeah.
Otherwise your computer might kill you.
Yeah.
Alright, recording is live. Cool. Alright, cool. So, we're gonna go...
Woo, let's do this. Alright. Fuck it.
You can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I went to the one-leaf repository. We're gonna clone it. This is gonna look a little different from what you're used to, but we're gonna open up git bash, and we're gonna open up a command line. I'll make it bigger so you can see it. I'm going to put in some commands to move to my coding directory, right? So
Okay.
the tilde means I'm in my user, right? So I'm in on Windows I would be in users/ambid, right? And then I said
Okay.
change directories to documents, and then inside of documents go to coding.
Yeah.
So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy down the GitHub repository by calling git clone. So we need to copy it and then paste it. So you can see it gives you a URL to where it's stored on GitHub, right? If you go to here, this will be the same process you'll do on Mac. So you'll clone it, and then now if I do ls to list out all of my directories, you'll see the economy manager is a folder in there.
Cool.
So I can go into economy manager, and if I ls, you can see my license and readme are in there. Now if I open up the file manager and go to coding, economy manager is there, and you can see the license, the readme. This will be the .gitignore, and then we have a .git folder. And .git is it's this hidden folder that keeps track of where you're at in your state.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to Unity. You won't have to do any of this because I'll have done it for you. But
Okay, cool.
we'll create a new project. We're gonna call it economy manager, and we're actually gonna make it 3D in case you want to do 3D stuff with it, right?
Yeah, sure.
But we can pretend it's 2D, right, with the camera.
Yeah, definitely.
So like if you ever want to have like a 3D scene of like the guy sitting down at his table or whatever, we can do that. But we can just pretend everything else is 2D because UI is 2D, right?
Okay.
So inside of the economy manager, we're gonna call the project economy manager. I'm gonna go inside of here. Why does it say path already exists? Alright, this is weird. So fine, we'll do it the dumb way. We will go to coding, go to economy manager, and I will actually how do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? We'll add another R to it. And then we will, okay, so
Manager.
Yeah, we'll rename it, but for now it's bitching at me. Alright, so we won't need get anymore. Now we wait for this guy to go for it. Okay.
Do you want the backgrounds for it that I made?
We'll just start super simple and you can throw them in later.
Okay, cool.
That way you can get experience doing it. We're just gonna make a very, very basic UI and a way to like track money, right?
Yeah.
And make worry about like the animations and all that jazz later.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the nice part is we can make things responsive so it'll work on mobile. So we could publish this to Steam, we could publish it to iPhone, we could publish it to Android, and we can even make it a website.
Oh fuck, that'd be sick.
Alright, so we're gonna make a new scene and we will call it we won't worry about a main menu or anything like that. We'll just call it main for like the main scene.
Yeah.
Alright, and all we're gonna do in here is we're gonna actually now that the project's created, we want to copy it into our Git folder. So we go to coding, we have the economy manager, and we're just gonna copy all the folders into our economy manager repository. And we'll close out of Unity because we're gonna reopen it from that folder.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you how this is gonna work in just a second. Skip. Okay, so now if we get rid of this extra folder. Okay, so now everything's in this economy manager. We can delete economy manager. And now in Unity, we can open that folder instead.
Yeah.
So now we have to add a new project because it's a different location. We select the folder, and now we can open it. Okay, so I'm going to use a visual version of Git. It's called GitHub Desktop. I don't know if they have it for Mac. You'd have to go look. But I can go to our repository. It's going to be under add existing repository. The repository path is going to be here. Add. And it's a one leaf project. Cool. So you can see already all the things that have changed just when I created the project, right? And you can see
Yep.
the history, which was just the initial commit, which created the git ignore the license and the readme. So what we're going to do is we're going to
Okay.
create a new commit, and we're going to say created Unity project. And we're going to commit it. And so if we look at our history, you can see we have a new commit now, just a new bundle of things that have changed.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to push it. And what pushing it means is I have this on my local machine, but GitHub doesn't know about it. So we're going to push it to GitHub and say, hey, you should know about these changes that I've made.
Oh, okay. So like basically updating it.
Yeah, yeah, uploading it to GitHub. So now if I refresh the page, you'll see that all of my folders are there. My 2 commits are there, right?
Yeah.
So to prevent us from doing anything wrong, what I'm going to do next is we're going to set this project up to work with Git how it should. So we're going to create a new branch, and we're going to call it develop. And what a branch is basically like a separate timeline of code, right? So if I go into Paint here, the branch that Unity starts out with is master, and pretend these lines are timelines, and the M is for master. I'm not going to write it all out in Paint.
Yeah.
We created the initial commit, right? Where circles represent commits, right?
Yeah.
We created the Unity project, and now we're going to
Okay.
branch off of this guy and create a new timeline called development. And what's going to happen on here is development is going to track our development, and when we're ready, we can merge it back into master. Basically, merge these timelines and say all the commits that have been done on this development branch, put them on top of master so that there's this one commit representing all of them. And master is basically to keep track of our releases, like version 1, version 2, version 3, right? That way it's kind of clean,
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
However, we're not going to do exactly that. On development, we're actually going to branch off of development. We're going to say we're going to do feature add a text box. And then we'll create a commit for that. We'll say, all right, we created a text box. And we said, all right, now you can type text in the text box. And then we'll merge that into development. And then we'll keep doing this process, pulling out features and pushing them back in, right? And the nice part about
Okay,
this
yeah.
is wherever I was before, when I pull out this branch, you could go look at this branch if I publish it. However, you could branch off at the same spot and just make a new timeline and do your own tickets. And when you merge them back in, when I merge mine back in, it'll just put mine on top of yours in the timeline.
Okay.
So that's the basic process of how we're working here, and that's how most open source projects work. So we're going to create this new development branch. We're going to publish it, and since there's no new commits, we're just publishing the branch, right? We're just saying, hey, GitHub, you should know that this branch exists.
Yeah.
So now if I go back to here, if I refresh the page, you see this branch thing right here. Now you can see develop, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the settings of the repository, and we're going to go to branches, and we're going to add branch protections, basically saying you should not push to master without approval, right? We don't want people to just, anybody who is a one leaf member can
Oh,
make
yeah, yeah,
changes, right?
yeah.
So we want to prevent them from making any changes. So we add a rule, and we say the branch that we want to protect is master, and we want to require a pull request. And a pull request basically says, once I've made changes, I want to merge them back into whatever branch I want to merge them into, and I want people to have to approve that before it can be merged. And I'm going to set that to 2 people.
Okay.
And so now we're going to do the same thing for development. So we're going to save, go back to branches, add a new one, and the branch name pattern is going to be develop. We're going to require 2 reviews. So now whenever you're making changes to the master development branch, it requires approval so nobody can mess with us anymore, right?
Yeah.
So what's beautiful about that is now the way this should work is now we branch off of develop, and we call it feature slash whatever we're doing. And we'll say initial UI creation. Okay, and now we're on this separate
Yep.
branch, right? So we've made this third timeline, and when we're done, we'll merge that back into development, right? Okay,
Okay.
so now we're in Unity, and we're gonna go to the scenes. We're gonna go to the main scene. We're actually gonna delete the sample scene because we don't need it anymore. Actually, I'll just
Yep.
I'll just rename it to main menu so that way we can use it later.
Okay.
All right, now we're in the main scene, and basically what we need is UI, right? And how does UI work? Everything is based off of a canvas, right? So if I right click on the scene hierarchy to create something, I go to UI. Let's just say let's gonna make a button. And if I make a button, you can see it's automatically under a canvas, right?
Yeah.
The other thing it did is added an event system. And an event system listens for your mouse to click or scroll or whatnot.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of a default component that Unity has. And now if I'm in 3D, you can see this button is actually in 2D, right?
Oh, shit, yeah.
I'm gonna get rid of the game view so we can have just one. And now if I
This
click,
is one of the sorry.
go ahead.
No, this is one of the things I was actually wondering about the game. Am I gonna have to like download assets from Unity for like menus? Spiffy looking
Now we can make them all.
menu. Ah, cool.
Like for the button, for example, we could just go to the color and change the color of the button, right?
Yeah.
Or we could download images to give it a background or whatnot. But we can worry about that later, right? We don't
Yeah.
care about what it looks like. We want it to work, and then we can drop in assets whenever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so up here at the top, you have this 2D button. This will turn the scene view into 2D. Now I can scroll out, and it's actually in 2D the way we're working with it.
Nice.
So then the last thing we want to do is if we click on the main camera, you can see inside the camera preview. Like if I go to the game view, this previews what the camera is. You see the buttons like way down here, but you can't really see it.
Yeah.
So that shows that this is working in 2D, right? Like if I take the button and move its Y position up, you can see the button on the screen. It looks 2D, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is let's start off by using Adventure Capitalist as our. Um, we can change it later, but I just want to get an idea of what things are gonna look like, right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna use it as our reference, right? So we're gonna try and recreate this menu, and we're gonna ignore all the menus on the. We'll keep the menus on the left, and then we'll duplicate the ones on the right. So what we're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
is we're gonna attach to the canvas. We're gonna create a child, and we're going to say this is going to be our main panel, right? So think of like switching between tabs on a website. We're going to they're
Yeah.
called panels in Unity.
Okay.
So on that panel, we're going to use a layout group, and so like you can do a horizontal layout group, so it'll automatically align things for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have two vertical ones, right? We're going to have the one on the left, and the one in the middle is going to hold two separate vertical horizontal groups, right?
Okay.
So we're going to call it we have the main panel, and we're going to have a new subset of the main panel, and this is going to be called, I don't know, we'll call it the settings panel. That'll be the one on the left, right? Achievements, upgrades, managers, those type of things. We'll call those settings for now.
Yeah.
And this guy will be a vertical layout group. And we can go ahead and just add some buttons to it just to, see if we did this right. So add one button, and under the button is a text, right? So like I can take the text and move it off the button, right? The text is separate from the button. But since it's a
Yeah.
child, it's a child of the button, right? So if I move the button, it'll move the text. Okay, so we'll add one button. We'll call it achievements. We will just Control C, Control V, and make a new button, and we'll change the text to upgrades. Upgrades. And then, I don't know, we'll create a last one and call it managers.
Yeah.
And then I like to keep things
Ooh.
clean. Go for it.
Sorry. No, because I'm thinking like if this is like the idea would like story of it would be like a little transport company. So maybe instead of managers, be like pilots,
Sure.
because then they would like upgrade their ships and stuff.
Pilots. So the name of the button, I'm actually going to change to what the name of the text is, so that way we know what the button is. So it'll be like pilots button, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So now on the main menu, we want a horizontal layout group, and this will make more sense in just a second. So we have the settings panel, and then we have, I don't know, we'll call it the game panel, I guess. And then this guy is going to have, we'll use a grid layout group, which can basically lay out things in a grid. We could just make it like one row, but since it's two, we'll just use a grid. That way we don't have to use two vertical horizontal groups, because that just seems weird. A grid seems like
Okay.
it's fit for this. So then we can just add a bunch of buttons to the grid. So we can create a button for, I don't know, we'll just create a bunch of them. So you can see how it looks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now we want these guys to be horizontal to each other, right? We want the settings on the left and the. Let me create this. Let me delete this button. Okay, so now we have the UI as we want it. So we can to the main panel. We have this horizontal layout group. So we want to add a layout element. Bear with me here. I want to test something. I don't remember how all this stuff works. It's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start corner will be upper left. It goes horizontal. Their alignment will be middle center. Flexible. Okay, so now if we go back to the scene view, you can see the canvas itself. It may be kind of hard to see on the Discord stream. I'm sorry, but
That's okay.
there's gonna be this white outline to represent what this panel is, right?
Yep.
So in the UI, notice how we don't have transform anymore. We have rect transform, which is basically a 2D transform, right? Because it's a rectangle.
Yeah.
So we have a position in the X, a Y, and we don't really need the Z, right? Y in this case is up and down, X is to the left and to the right. Z would give it depth, but we don't really need depth, right? And then we have a width and a height for the object itself. And then we have anchors, and this basically says which corner it's anchored to if things scale. So we
Hmm.
want the anchors to be the top left and the bottom right. And that's not, oh. And then if we set these to 0, 0, 0, 0, this is the padding, right? This says how many pixels are we from the left of our anchor, how many pixels are we away from the top of our anchor, and so on, right?
Okay.
So if I go back to this guy, so the main panel we want to fit to the canvas, right? We want to say it has its min and max. Like if I were to scale this to, I don't know, 0.5 or something, you'll see these little what? Okay, I am hating this background. It's hard to see. So we're gonna go to our camera. We're gonna change from a skybox to a solid color, and our solid color is gonna be, I don't know, light blue. How do I change it in the scene? Uh, like if you go to our game now, you see how it has the blue background?
Ah.
I don't know how to do it in like the scene view. Edit, project settings, graphics. This is gonna bother the shit out of me, so I'm gonna take a second to fix it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Editor. In the scene view, under effects, skybox can be turned on and off. Oh, so they mean this? No. What about this? Haha! It's under this drop down. I never would have known. Okay, cool. So now our scene view has this just gray background, so it's easier for you to see.
Okay.
Because I know on Discord it doesn't have a very high resolution and update rate. Okay, so we have our canvas, right, which is, you can see the blue dots are the size of the canvas. We can't change the canvas because this is basically 1920 by 1080, the size of your monitor, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And what we want to do on the canvas is change the scaler to scale with the screen size, right? We want the canvas to scale with your screen size,
Okay.
and you can choose whether you want it to match the width or the height, right? Well, if I have, I don't know, I have a wide monitor, so I have a 2560 by 1080, so it's just wider. So you can either have it match by the width or the height, or somewhere in the middle. I like to just put it at 0.5, so it, depending on, if your screen is longer or wider, it'll scale accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then I'm going to change my reference resolution to 1920 by 1080 because that's the most average resolution, right?
Yeah.
And you can see everything got smaller because it's a higher resolution, right?
Okay.
I'm actually going to leave it at 800 by 600 so everything's bigger and easier to read for now. Okay,
Yeah.
so our main panel is a sub-child of, or is a child of our canvas, right? And you can see the little triangles here, right? Those are the anchors, right? This is basically says if it's going to scale, like this is how it's going to scale. So we want, since the main panel is going to be the entire thing, we want that to just be, so the minimum is like the left and bottom. So it's the bottom left for the minimum, and it's the top right for the maximum, right?
Okay.
So we want it to be at 0, 0, and 1, 1, because it's a
Just
scale between 0 and 1.
yeah. No, just think because this would be like the entire screen game, right?
Yeah, and we can add like padding in between everything too if you want.
Yeah, no, because I was thinking just have it sort of having the little space station sort of have a kind of be the scene be the background, and then have a little UI that would be kind of like represented by like a data pad. So this would be like bit more to the left,
Here,
just so we could have like this scene set there. But maybe that's not right now, or
I'm gonna blow your mind here real quick. I'm gonna open up your image. I'm gonna right click on it and save image as, and we'll call it
oh motherfucker!
background one. I don't know. And we'll go to
Yeah.
document. We'll just save it to my downloads for now. And then if we open up Unity, go to my downloads, you'll see your background one is there. Well, I made it this imported assets folder because I like to have a folder to group things by. So we drag it into
Yeah.
the imported assets. We can just drag an image in here, right? And then for the main panel, we'll just give it an image. So there's an image, and then we drag and drop your image into there. Oh,
Oh my
it needs to be
god.
a sprite, right? So the texture type is default. We want it to be a sprite because a sprite is how you render
Yeah.
2D. So we hit apply, and then we go to our main panel and we drag and drop it into there, and boom,
You just blew my mind.
woo! Your image doesn't 100% scale to the screen.
Totally okay with that.
You know what?
Yep,
We'll just
good.
manually scale it. Okay, so now we have
Yeah.
your background, right? So now
Holy shit.
so now maybe we will create another sub panel and we'll call it, I don't know, the um I don't know, gamepad panel, and we'll give it so the main panel, we don't want to have this horizontal layout group anymore. We want the gamepad panel to be a parent to these. And so what I'm thinking here is that the gamepad panel, we'll make it 0011. Okay, so now it's the whole size, but we want it a little bit less than that. So we'll give it like, I don't know, 100 pixels of buffer on either side. And then this panel itself will have um, an image maybe, and we'll just make it like, I don't know, a cool
Like
light
a
blue
black. Yeah.
or something
Just
like that.
a.
And then give it a little bit of transparency so you can still see the image behind it, right?
Yeah, kind of like a hologram.
Exactly. And then, I don't know, we'll just make it the full screen for now because I can't figure out how to make it scale. But,
That's okay. That's
you know,
okay.
I don't know,
You're blowing my mind right now.
I'll make it 10 on either side. There we go. So now there's a little bit of padding so you can see the corners. Okay. So now this guy needs to have the horizontal layout group. Because what's going to be horizontal in the layout group is going to be this guy and this guy, right? They're going to be in the layout group.
Yeah.
Because this is one side and this one side. So then um, this guy needs to... Um, we need to control the child's size. There we go. So now we say, hey, Mr. Horizontal Layout Group, will you control my two children's size? Now you can see they're split half and half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on the left-hand side, we can say you're a vertical layout group and you're in the middle center. We'll give you like 10 spacing in between each one. And I don't remember how to make them closer. There you go. Okay, there we go. Cool. We force them to expand using these checkboxes, right? So now they're
Yeah.
okay. Cool. Now this kind of looks like the left menu from Adventure Capitalist.
Okay.
So now the right menu, we can add spacing in between the cells. I don't know, 10 in between each. And then, I don't know, let's make a couple more buttons. Fill in the row. Cool, now we have buttons. I think we kind of want it vertical, not horizontal, right?
Mm.
So that way, oh, dude, you know what we should do? We're going to make this. I guess we could. I don't know. I almost want to make the right side
Oh shit.
scrollable. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think. I think that might be a little unnecessary though, because we could just fit everything
Wow.
onto one page and make it tabbed. You know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so then we can. Let's actually. I don't know. Let's limit it to like four buttons for now, make it a little bit
Yeah.
simpler. And these will be like our buttons to buy things. So we'll
Yep.
say, I don't know, I'm just going to give them names right now, Pilot 1, Pilot 2, and Pilot 3.
Yeah. So like essentially you're hiring these people to work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have our UI laid out, right? Now we need some sort of game manager to handle these things for us.
Okay.
So now we're going to create an empty object, and we'll call it Game Manager. And then we'll create a scripts folder. We'll call it scripts. Inside our scripts folder, we will create our Game Manager. And obviously the Game Manager is not going to hold all of the functionality. We'll break it out as we get there, but for now we'll just call it Game Manager.
Okay.
So now we attach our script. The transform really doesn't matter because positioning doesn't matter, but I like having everything zeroed. All
Yeah.
right, so now we double click on it to open it in Visual Studio. All right, so now in our game manager, what do we need? We need our money, right? And
Yeah.
I'm going to make it a double because it needs to be huge, right?
What does that mean?
Um, okay, hold on.
Like I know you're gonna make a lot of money, but like the double.
So if we go look at C sharp um, primitive types, I don't want C sharp. I want the .NET documentation. There we go. Okay, so we can see we want it to be an integer, right? Because it's gonna be in dollars or coins or whatever. If
Yeah.
we used an integer, right? You see how it's int 32?
Yep.
That means it uses 32 bits to hold the information inside of it, right?
Okay.
So if we do 32 bits, 32-bit integer limit. If we look up the limit of that, the highest we can get is 2 billion, right? Well, if we're scaling exponentially, we may have to go way higher than that, right?
Okay.
So we want maybe a 64-bit integer limit, and that'll give us, a pretty decently sized number to work with.
That's pretty
And
big.
so instead of an integer, we're going to use what's called a long, which is just a long integer, right? It's just a longer piece of memory that'll
Oh,
store.
okay. Yeah, fair enough.
I was going to use a double, which a double. So a float is just a decimal, right? A double is
Yeah.
just a 64-bit float, meaning it can have a higher precision, meaning
Okay.
like it could go to more decimal places, right? Or be a bigger number on
Yeah.
the left side.
No, I get that. But
Okay,
we probably when we're dealing with that amount, we're not cents. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have player money, right? This is how we're going to keep track of everything.
yeah.
And to start off, we'll just say player money is equal to 0 when they create a new game. We'll like load this from like a save file or something in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they save or when they quit and come back. So on update, we don't really want to do anything every frame, right? We only want to do things when people press buttons, right?
Okay.
So there's a few different ways we can handle this, right? We need to basically map from a pilot's name to how much money he gives us and how long it takes, right?
Yeah.
So let's call it let's create a new class and call it maybe mission or something.
Okay.
Because it'll give us like pilot's name, how much money it gives us, and how long it takes. Those seem like the three things that we'll need for now. So
Yep.
mission, it won't be a mono behavior, right? It's not going to be something that needs start and update. It's not going to be something that runs. It's just going to be a class that holds data, right?
Okay.
So mono behavior gives us access to things that are components that are going to be attached to a game object, and this is going to be a little bit hard to understand when you're first getting into it. But we're not going to be attaching this script to anything. Mission is just going to be we're just going to hold a bunch of missions that hold the data for us, right?
Okay.
And so the data that we're going to hold a string that represents the pilot's name. We're going to hold a float for mission duration. It just be a number of milliseconds or something, right?
Okay.
And we can just say like we could add a comment and say, actually, let's not add a comment. Let's say in seconds in the variable name, and then let's say mission value or something like that for how much it returns.
Yeah.
And let's say in dollars or we could figure out what the type is later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna we're gonna teach you a lot of things really quick, and a lot of this might not make sense at first, but we're gonna go about this the right way. In
No, sure. Yeah. This is. Are you streaming this like on YouTube, like
It's not being.
recording or?
I'm just recording to my computer, and then I can upload it to my YouTube or OneLeaf's YouTube. I'm gonna ask
Oh,
Zach
perfect.
which one
Yeah.
he thinks we should upload to,
Okay. Yeah.
because I don't like if we're gonna do every single one of these videos together and work together on all of them. Then I'd love to record all of them and put them on YouTube.
Oh no,
Uh,
absolutely.
but this doesn't need
That'd
to
be
be a
great.
stream because I don't want anybody else's input. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
want other
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
input, but like we're kind of just trying
Not
to get
just
something
yeah.
going, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What was I gonna do? Oh, Unity scriptable object. I can never remember the syntax for this, so we're gonna look it up. It is this. Okay, so we want these missions to basically be like hard coded, right?
Yeah.
And I really don't like hard coding things in code themselves because that just doesn't make sense, right? Like we could create separate missions, right? Like in Game Manager, we could say in Start we could create missions, right? So let's
Mm-hmm.
say public. We're gonna have an array of missions, and we'll say missions. And then when we start, we could say uh, missions at 0 is equal to new mission, and then set the mission's properties and whatnot. We don't want to do that. That seems unnecessary, right? Like
Yeah.
that just seems poorly organized. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a scriptable object. And let me type this out real quick, and it'll make way more sense as soon as I show you how it works. So what this is called an attribute, and they're inherent to C sharp. Unity has their own attributes, and this one is called create asset menu. If you hover over it, it'll tell you that this data type is now marked as a scriptable object derived type. So if I have to inherit from scriptable object, if we go look at scriptable object, really what it has is we can create an instance of a scriptable object and then set whether or not it's dirty, meaning whether or not it has been updated, and we need to notify people about it.
Yeah.
Um, so what this allows us to do is now in the Unity editor, we can create a folder, and we're going to call it scriptable objects. Inside this folder, Now when we go to create, you see scriptable objects, mission?
Okay.
We added this to it, right? So now if I click on mission, we could say, we'll call it, I don't know, mission 1. And now over on the right-hand side, oh, I forgot to make these public. What this allows us to do then, as soon as this updates, give it a second. Boom. Now you see how I can edit these things in the editor?
Oh yeah.
So now this is literally, like if I go to the coding folder and I go inside the project, I go to assets, scriptable objects. You see I have this asset? I could literally open this up with Notepad just to see what it looks like, right? And it's
Oh
just like JSON or something like that, right? It's just like this is the variable, this is its value.
yeah
Well, now if I set, I don't know, pilot's name to um, Stefano, the mission duration, let's say it takes 10 seconds and it's worth $100. If we hit save and we go open this guy back up, I'm assuming the value is stored in there somewhere. Boom. Now you can see like it actually stores the values in like a file, right?
wait. Holy shit.
So
Okay.
what's nice about this is now basically what we can
You
do is
can.
we can load the UI. Like we're actually not gonna have any of this UI. We're gonna generate all of the UI at runtime, and all like the beautiful part about this is all the designers have to do if they come up with a mission, they can give it its value, its duration, and the name of the pilot, right? And the
Yeah.
designers can do this stuff, right? All they're doing is filling in values. They're not doing any coding. And then if we generate them on runtime based on the missions, they don't have to. The designers don't have to know these type of things, right? Like, not that we have a designer team, but like we want to think that way, right? We want to think as
Yeah
though
yeah
each
yeah
people has
yeah
their independent roles. For example, if you're the designer here, you would be doing these things, right?
yeah
And then maybe maybe mission would have another variable called mission return statement or something that basically like this is what the UI pops up when the pilot returns and says, "Yo, we found this much money. This is also what we found out." Those type of things, right?
yeah yeah. Like a success rate and like a little flavor.
Yeah,
Oh fucking
exactly.
this happened.
Okay, last thing that I think we need, we don't have a display for our money. So in our settings panel, at the top of it, I'm just going to put our money in a text box up here.
Yeah
So we're going to do UI, and we don't. Okay, so there's input field, which allows you to type in it, and there's text, which is just kind of like a label. So we want text, right? Because we
mm,
don't want them to type in it. And since this is a vertical layout group, it depends on which order they're in. So if I just drag this guy up to the top, it'll reorganize it for us.
yeah
So let's change the color of it to like, I don't know, white or something, the text, right?
yep
And then we change it to centered in the horizontal and centered in the vertical, so it's centered in the box. And then we'll just put in $0 for now, and then this will update at runtime, right? We just want some default placeholder.
yeah
Okay, so now we change this text to I don't know, current money. We can rename all this stuff later, but I just want to get this
yeah
started.
yeah
Okay, so now we have a way to track our money. We can generate our buttons at runtime, and we'll generate those buttons based off the scriptable objects. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a scriptable object to hold scriptable objects, and it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but we're going to call it instead of mission, we'll call it mission container or something like that. Yeah, mission container sounds good. Mission container. And this is going to click, and you're going to be like, whoa, this is super cool that you can even do this here in a second. And I've recently found out about scriptable objects, and I'm pumped about them.
okay
And I use these in my game, my bunny hop game, because it keeps track of all my levels for me. I load all of my levels from scriptable objects.
oh okay
All of my levels have like the level name, the like which scene, what their scene name is, and then whether or not it's a portal level, so that way I can check whether it's a portal level and whether or not the player can create them.
yeah
Okay, so we want mission container for the name of the file, and we want mission container for the option in the UI. And what the mission container is going to hold is it's just going to hold a list of missions, or an array of missions. Sorry.
okay
So this is just going to be our container, so that way all we give the game manager is this container, right? So now we just give it this mission container, and we can access all the missions from it, right?
mm-hmm
So it gives us one centralized place to get access to all these things.
okay
Okay, so now we go back to our Unity. We go to scriptable objects. Let's create the mission container. Scriptable object, mission container. And now you can see over here, this dropdown, we can just tell it how many missions we want. Let's put in 4 for now. And this is what an array looks like in almost in a UI sense. Like I can just drag and drop this guy, and the first element of that array is mission 1, right? And then we can just duplicate that and
yeah
make more. So let's go ahead and create 3 more. Hi, Crow.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going.
We are making an idle game.
An idle game. Ooh.
Yes, sir. All right, so mission 2, we'll say it takes, instead of 10 seconds, it takes 20, but it gives us $250, and pilot's name will
Yeah.
be Stefano 2, I don't know.
Okay.
Mission 3, the pilot's
Stefano.
name will be Crow, its duration will be, I don't know, 45 seconds, and the mission value will be, I don't know, $5,000.
Later on, if you want, like I've made a collection of like random names that you can just sort of put in at random. So you just kind
Yeah,
of
we can do that too.
yeah.
Duration for this one, I don't know, we'll make it 2 minutes, and then its value would be, I don't know, $20,000. Okay, so now our mission container, we gotta drag and drop all these things in there. So now our mission container holds each of the missions, right? So like if I double click on one, it'll take me to that mission, and it's pointing to its values, right?
Okay.
So what we want to do is when we want to start, we want to generate all of the buttons, right? So when we start, we want to say generate mission buttons. And generating it UI at runtime is a really big pain in the ass, but I really wanted to make a UI framework for a long time, so this will be great.
Okay.
So now what we want to do is we want to loop over all of the missions that we have in our container and make a button for it, right?
Okay.
So rather than me making a button in here, I'm going to make a prefab for it. So if we just go here, go to 2D object, go to UI, go to button, we're going to drag it out, and we'll call this mission button. That way in the future, if you want to style these buttons somehow,
Yeah.
we can style them like however, and they'll change all the other buttons, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to create a new folder called prefabs. We will drag our mission button inside of there. And now, in our game manager, we'll have access to a game object, which is just going to be our prefab. So we'll say mission button prefab. And now we say, for each one of our missions, named mission, in our mission containers list of missions, we want to instantiate an instance of our mission button prefab, and that's going to return us a game object. We'll call it new button. And that new button, we want to get the text of that button, right? And set the
Hmm.
text. So we want to get the component, and the component we want to get is the actually we want to get component. Okay, I'll explain this in just a second. We could be doing this way better, and we'll make these things way better in the future, but we're doing it cheeky for now.
Yeah. No problem.
Okay, so the button itself, right? Like if I go to the mission button, I can open up a prefab just itself. Like if I double click on the prefab, it'll open up just the prefab up here, right?
Okay.
And you can see the button's child is a text, right? So
Yep.
if we did get component on the mission button, it doesn't have text, right? It's the child that has the text component, right? And we want to change its text, right?
Hmm.
So rather than doing get component, we can do get component in children, and it will look through all the children of whatever object you give it and try and find that component in it. So if we give it its button, it'll look in its children for that text element, right?
Okay.
So then we want to say that button's text dot text is equal to whatever the mission's whatever the pilot name is, right?
Yep.
And then we want to set that new button's parent to the game panel, right? Because the game panel is going to hold all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say its parent is equal to the game panel dot transform. And now you'll see when we run, we have to make sure all of the things are set. So on the game manager, we have to make sure we have the mission container. So we go to our scriptable objects and drag in the mission container. We go to the mission button prefab and we drag in that prefab. We go to the game panel, or we want to just drag in the game panel so we have a reference to it. And if we hit play, what should happen is it should generate all those buttons for us. Boom! Stefano, Stefano 2,
Ah, there
Crow,
we
and
go.
Sabian. So when I click on them, now we have to figure out what happens when we click on them, right?
Okay.
Okay, so what I want to do is on this mission button, I want to add a script to it called, I don't know, mission button. Or, yeah, we'll call it mission button for now. And so if we go to our prefab, we want to add that script to our button, right? So we'll add it on. Boop, right? So the mission button, let's have it hold. So it is going to be a mono behavior because it's attached to something, right?
Yeah.
And what do we want it to have access to? Let's have it have access to the button itself. Let's have it have access to the text, so that way it can update its own text. And then let's have it have access to its action, like whatever its action is, right?
Hmm.
I guess all really need is access to the button itself, and then we can tell that button what to do. So if we go back to the mission button, since it's in the prefab, we can set these things, right? So if we go to the button, we can drag in the button, and then we can drag in the text. And now whenever we use this prefab, these things will be preset for us, right?
Hmm.
So if we just hit play, and if we look at all the mission buttons now, it already has this mission button script because we added it to the prefab, and its button and text are set, which are its children, right? Which is cool. If you
Okay.
click on it, it'll highlight it in yellow on the left, right? You see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it has access to its children, right? So what's nice about that is now we don't have to go do instead of getting its text, let's get the component mission button,
Mm-hmm.
and rather than having a text, we're going to refer to it as the mission button. And now, rather than doing this, like having to get the text, we have access to the button which holds its text, right? So we can say mission button dot text, which is its text field. Hold on, what was it called? Mission button dot text. And since it's the text field, you have to access its text. Damn it, I'm dumb. We want it to have access also not just to the game object, but to the script itself. Text object button object. And it's not going to know what a text or a button is, so we have to import unityengine.ui, right? And all the errors will go away. So now in the game manager, we have access to the text itself, set its text to whatever the mission's pilot's name. Okay, that's a little bit cleaner because now we don't have to look for children, and like maybe what happens if something got deleted and isn't there? Like what happens if you accidentally deleted that prefab or something and we don't have access to that anymore and you had to recreate it and remember what it was, right?
Okay.
Now we know that prefab is set up correctly, and now we're accessing it from the script that we made, so we know it should be set correctly, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now we want to access the. Okay, so we set its text, we set its parent, and now we want to set the mission button. We want to set the we don't want the class, we want the object. We want to set his button, and so a button has a attribute called onClick, right? And what we want to do is want to add a listener to that onClick. And I know this is going to get a little confusing.
Okay.
So we want the mission button to hold a mission. We want the mission button to reference a mission, right?
Yeah.
So when we create the button, we'll say, hey, Mr. Button, you're responsible for this mission. You get to handle it later.
Okay.
And then we'll just say, add listener, perform mission. So we'll create this function called perform mission. So basically what happens is now that we created this button, whenever we click on it, it's going to call the perform mission
Yeah.
function. And we want to actually pass in the hold on, you have to bear with me for just a sec. We actually want to pass in the mission button itself. And this guy's going to freak out. I think that works. It doesn't. Cannot convert Unity pass in data to add listener. Okay, this is a little bit of C# magic. Basically what this says is, I'm forgetting how something works. Is it here that it wants it? It is, okay. Okay, so what this is saying, let me break this out into its own lines so you can understand what's going on here. Okay, so our mission button, which is a script that holds reference to our button, right?
Yep.
When that button is clicked, we want to add a listener, right? Rather than in update, like having to check every frame if someone has clicked it, we add a listener so that this function is called when you click on it, right? It's more performant that way.
Okay.
And so we're saying we want to use a delegate. And a delegate basically says you have delegates and events. A delegate is a thing that subscribes to an event. So when an event happens, I do something with it, right?
Mm.
And so we're saying when we add a listen, we want the delegate that handles that event to do X. And what we want it to do is to perform a mission and pass in that mission button, right?
Okay.
And so what's going to happen is when we perform the mission, we want to wait however long and then add to our money, right?
Yep.
So we'll call it player money. We'll just add to the money right away and not worry about time yet. And the amount of money that we want
Mm-hmm.
to add to it is the mission value. Float long. It needs to be a long. You need to be a long. Not a ling, a long. Okay, so I'm going to get this back to how I would normally format it. Okay, so if this works as I expect, what should happen is every time you click on one of these buttons, it should give us the appropriate amount of money. Let's go check our scriptable object since we changed from float to long. I don't know if it updated it. Yeah, it deleted all of our values. So we'll make the first mission worth 10, the second mission worth 100, the third mission worth 1,000, and the fourth mission worth 10,000. Okay. Let's go see if that worked. So we see our money is 0. It didn't generate something. We did something wrong. Our game manager is missing something. If we double click on the error, we can see the mission button doesn't have reference to its text, or we don't have reference to the pilot's name from the mission. So let's go check if the mission button, if we messed up that prefab. We updated it so it doesn't have access to anything. So we grab this guy, we grab this guy, we grab this guy, and we grab this guy. Okay. Now if we run. Okay. Now, we didn't link our UI to our money, right? Like we could click on this money, and if we go look at our game
Yeah.
manager, our player money is null ref. Let's go see what you're bitching about. Player money. We never set the mission button's mission to anything, so we got to set the mission button dot mission to whatever our current mission is, and then let's make it look at the UI. So let's take public text player money text, and we want our player money text to just be equal to whatever our player money is, right?
Yeah.
So I think what we actually want is we want this to look at a scriptable object that holds our player data. Like our player data would hold like our upgrades and everything. That way it's all stored in an asset, so that way it's saved.
Yep.
So we go create yet another scriptable object called player data. Oh, I'm putting it in the wrong spot. Look at me just misclicking for days. Scripts, player data. Okay, our player data should look just like the previous two, so we're going to go copy paste and rename this guy to player data. And what should our player data have? It should have player money, and then like, I don't know, add upgrades and stuff, but we're not going to worry about that, right? Not yet.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so now the game manager doesn't actually have reference to the player's money. We now can just simply say the player money text is equal to, we need access to the player data. Public player data is equal to the player data dot, I am doing poor capitalization, player money dot text toString. $, plus that. Okay, so basically we said that we want this text box text to be equal to a $, plus whatever our money is, right?
Yeah.
And the beautiful part about this is since this is pointing to a scriptable object, this is always going to update, right? We don't have to every time we change something, we don't have to go update that text field. It's looking at this asset, right? Whereas normally we have to go update the text every time, like we were doing here.
Yeah.
So now we can do player data dot player money plus equals mission button dot mission dot value. Okay, so now we need to go make sure we updated the references correctly and made the scriptable object. So we go back to scriptable objects, we create our player data, and we don't have to touch anything, right? Because player money should start out at 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we go to our game manager, it should have access to our player data, and it should also have access to our player money text, which is just this field. And now if we hit play, and we hit on money, it doesn't work because I did something really dumb and I don't know what yet. If you look at our player data, okay, cool, our money has changed, right? When we hit this, it gives us 100,
Okay.
1,000, and 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason it's
It
not
doesn't
updating
take
the
as
UI.
long as. Yeah, it's not doing the seconds either.
It's not doing the what?
Because didn't you set the timer for it, like in second?
We let the missions have a timer, but we haven't dealt with it yet, right? Like we know it has a
Oh,
timer, we
okay,
just haven't
fair.
done anything with it.
Yeah, okay.
Let's make sure we set the text after every time. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you do have to update the text.
Hmm.
Let's go check. Yay! And you see, if
Oh,
you see when it
yay.
loaded up, it saved our money, right? So it already saved because it's pointing at an asset. When I click on buttons, it updates.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! All right, that's a really good start, right?
Yep.
Now we can wait. Now we can deal with time. So on our button, we probably want to have another text field to say how long it's going to take, right?
Yeah, or like a little bar.
I think
Actually, I
the
don't know what would be easier.
easiest way is let's go to here. Let's look at our button. Where are you? Text. Are you just like so small I can't see you?
Whoa.
The fuck?
Where's it?
I don't know, to be honest with you. We're just gonna add another text to this. So this one's gonna be called pilot name text, and this guy's gonna be called countdown text. And we're gonna go update our prefab script to hold reference to those. So we don't want just text object, we want pilot text object. We want our pilot text, and then we also want our countdown text object and text. And I'll add some spacing in here to make it a little more transparent as to what's going on. Okay, so now in our game manager, this guy's going to freak out because it's not called text anymore, it's called pilot text.
Yep.
And we also want our mission button dot countdown text dot text equal to mission dot duration in seconds. So I don't like having to set all this stuff in here. I think it should set it itself. So we're going to go into our mission button, and we're going to create a public void setup function. We're going to tell this guy to set up itself.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to pass in a mission. And now this guy's going to be... So what it's going to do is it's going to set its pilot text dot text to the mission's pilot name. And it's also going to set its countdown text equal to the mission dot duration. Yeah, something like that. Mission duration in seconds. This is mad because the duration is a number, whereas it needs to be a string.
Okay.
So we want to format this into a string, right? So let's go into C# time format strings, something like that. Because we want it to basically be like 00:00, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like you do that by We don't want a date time. We don't want a date time. C sharp duration time span. That's what it is. So we want to create a new time span. Time span. Time span. Is that how we do it? Hold on. Times. Yeah, we just got to import time span. And we'll call this mission duration equals a new time span. And we want to pass in the number of seconds. So it'll be 0, 0, mission duration in seconds. What are you bitching about? Cannot convert float to int. Oh, seconds should be an integer. Derp. And we don't need a long for duration, right? Because it's never going to be like that long, right?
Yeah.
So what we can do now is we can do mission button dot setup and pass in the mission that we want to give it. And now it'll handle all that stuff for us, right?
Yep.
And then we need to also set my mission equal to the mission that was passed in. Okay, so now we want to do mission duration dot. Is it toString? Yeah, toString. And then we give it like a format, right? So if I look at the overloads, I give it a format. And the format that we want to give it is minute, seconds. And it
Oh.
knows based on what you pass in here to convert the seconds into that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also want to go back to our button, and under our button, we want to give it a vertical layout group because we want our two texts below it to be vertically aligned.
Hmm.
I think so, at least. Give me a second to think this through. Let's hit play and see what happens. I don't want to think it through. I just want to have it yell at me.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't update any of this stuff, so we gotta grab the text, the text, the text, and the text. What are you yelling at me for next? I know I did something else wrong. Input string wasn't in the correct format. Okay. So it's saying this wasn't in the correct format. Haha, we're somewhat there.
Yeah. Almost there.
The prefab isn't created correctly. Let's go back to the scene, look at our buttons. Where are you at? Oh, shit. You're like behind the text box somewhere? Oh, you just didn't have any size. Okay. So then what we want to do is go back to you, give you a default width and height of, I don't know, 50 and 50, and you 50 and 50. Actually, we don't want to decide the size at all. We want you to control the child size.
With the
Nah.
number.
Yeah, there we go. We want
Oh.
the button has a vertical layout group. We want the layout group to decide the size of things, right?
Okay.
And then this text wasn't centered, so we go center it. And now if we hit play, it should look somewhat like we're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we hit play, nothing happens because I did something dumb. It's still giving us money. The why is it 0, 0? Oh, we change the scriptable object from a float to an integer, so now these are all going to be set to 0. So we'll say
Okay.
the first one is 1 second, the next one is, I don't know, 5 seconds, then... I'm trying not to make these too long so it's easier to test.
Yeah.
Make you 15. Okay, so now if we hit play, now all the time values should be set, right? And we click it, it should just like start counting down, right? Or filling the bar, or something along those lines, right? Um, we'll just have it count down to keep it easy, right? Because changing text is easier than like making images and shit. So
Yeah.
we will keep it easy for now. So then what we want to do is when you perform the mission, we don't want to just give it the money. We want to start a coroutine and have it wait for that long, right?
Yeah.
So we want to void wait for mission.
So like have the numbers count down, or is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
another fucking headache?
We want to have it have the numbers count down and have it give you the money when it's done, not right away.
Yeah.
So then we pass in the we start the coroutine, and the coroutine is going to be wait for mission. And we'll just go ahead and pass in the mission itself. Okay. And then we're going to just tell it to yield return wait 4 seconds 1. We need a new. And then this guy isn't going to do anything. It's just going to start the coroutine. So we want it to keep waiting for however long is necessary, right? We basically want this routine to just keep waiting for 1 second every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to say int current. Actually, make it a float. Float current timer is equal to the mission duration in seconds. So we have this timer. It's going to start out on how long it's going to take, right? And then while that current timer is greater than or equal to 0, we want to wait for a second, lower our timer, update our text. And then once that timer's done, then we update our money. And then we also update the text back, right? We want to say player, or what's it called? What's our text called? Oh fuck, we need access to the button. We'll pass in the button itself, I guess. And then we want to say mission button dot countdown text dot text is equal to. Actually, we're not going to set his text. We're going to tell him to do it itself. Public void set mission time.
Oh, mate, hang on. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and be right back, okay?
Okay, I'm just going to be cleaning some stuff up here.
Alright. Hey, I'm back. Hello?
Alright, are you back?
Yeah, man.
Alright, sorry, I went to get some water.
Yeah, cool.
Alright, so I was updating some stuff. So, I'll explain everything when I'm done.
Yeah, man. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so I think everything should be working as expected. So we have 57,370. I hit the timer. It starts counting down.
Yep. Oh,
It
yay.
hits 0. It gives us not our money. It should be giving us our money. 3, 2, 1. Boop. It's like lagging behind. 1 Mississippi. 1 Mississippi. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm just counting too fast. 1 Mississippi. Yeah, okay. I was just counting too fast.
Oh, okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Money. Give me my money. Give me my money.
Almost there. Oh, where's the money at? Hey, there we go.
It like gave us it in the middle of the countdown.
Yeah.
Uh. Okay. So we get the mission that our current button has. We create a timer, and its timer should be set to whatever the mission duration is. While our current timer is greater than 0, we wait for a second. Then we subtract 1 from our timer. We set our text to whatever that new, or we set it. We shouldn't be setting our money anywhere. Our money should be being set when we're done. Well, I'm happy I went through it. Now it should work. I already know it's not going to because I'm sure I did something else dumb. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give me my money! We did it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we wait 1 second. It goes boop. It goes boop. We wait 10, 9, 8.
2, 1.
Money, money, money.
Hey, bitches. We got
All right.
paid.
It works exactly as expected. Cool. So we have the start for this. The one bug that I can think of is that I can start this multiple times and it'll keep going.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to think
And
of
you see it.
something like that.
So I got an idea. Basically, we need to set some sort of boolean to say, is the mission running, right? And then don't let it
Yeah,
start running if it's
yeah.
already running.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, just looking forward, just to kind of make them a bit slower, just to have time to get, like, the messages back and if it's successful or not. But that's way down the line, I think. Xavier?
I was eating chips. I muted myself.
Oh, right.
I didn't want to hear you. I didn't want you to have to hear me crunching.
Oh, no, it's fine. But, yeah, no, basically just, I think maybe the pace of the game will be like a little slower,
Yeah.
considering like the chill nature of it. I think just so people have
So
time to read like the mission reports back and stuff.
so the way that most clicker games work is
Yeah,
there's two ways to play the game. Two ways to play the game. You can play idle, right? You can play it truly idle, and everything can be done for you. You can come back to it, once every couple hours, once every day, couple days, or whatever, right?
yeah,
But there should also be a way for people that if they want to, they can play completely active, right? So if you saw an
yeah.
adventure capitalist, they had to press the button, right?
Uh huh.
Well, basically what you'd want to do is maybe not have a manager that performs the missions for you, but have some way that people can constantly click and it would give them more money, right? Have maybe one mission that always takes 1 second and they can just keep clicking it as much as they want. And then the rest of them,
Yeah,
they take a lot longer, right? So that way it has that medium for those that do want to be active and like they want to be paying attention to your game.
yeah.
And then,
I
while they read the
think.
text or whatever of the missions that come back or whatever, then they can go back to pressing that button when they're done.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Yeah, I think. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Like you get like these big missions, and this sort of like it takes a while, and when they come back, you get like this whole this and this and this happened.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, basically,
Yeah,
basically, I just give them the option to like I don't know, maybe they have like 6 slots that they can send missions out, right? And like maybe for 5 of the slots they want to send out missions that take 48 hours, right? And they want to come back in 48 hours. And then
Oh, okay.
one of the slots they keep open and they just constantly keep doing these either like 2 minutes or 1 second missions that don't return a lot, but it allows them to keep playing the game and feel active, right?
Yeah, maybe that's like the amount of pilots you have. So you have one, and then you can keep doing this sort of fast. You get another one, you can
I
do
like
like
that.
longer missions.
I like that, right? So you start out with one pilot, and you can send him to whatever mission you want. Like you could send your one pilot to a 10-hour mission as soon as you start the game, or you can
Yeah,
set him on the 1 second mission, just keep going, 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 and then at certain some money, you get once you have enough money, you can hire on another pilot, right?
yeah, exactly.
And then you have another slot that you can do whatever you want with. You can send them both on 1 second missions, for example.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and I
like that a
think
lot.
maybe yeah, I think that's like maybe the buttons are actually the pilots. Or oh no, wait, I
Maybe
have to
you
think this through. But
um maybe you can change the pilots between quick mode or like maybe there's like a toggle on the button itself to say whether or not you want this pilot to do whatever the last mission was, or you click on the pilot
yeah,
himself and it goes into
yeah,
an interface that allows you to select which mission.
yeah. You remember like old Age of Empire games?
It's been a long time since I've played that.
Oh, hang on, sorry. Oi? Do meu quarto? Peraí. Essa aqui? Ah, não. Sorry, this is my housemate.
You rich bastard.
Yeah, just slumming it with a housemate. But what was I saying? Oh fuck, I forgot what we
We
were
were talking
saying.
about the pilot slots and being able to toggle on and off with Age of Empires style.
Yeah, yes. So like in that old game, and then you can make little freighters, and they can go back and forth market and your allies market, and they just keep doing that and like returning money. So they'll like perpetually keep going back and forth, and then there's this one sheet where you can just build a market really close, and then just.
Yeah,
But like
you could send them on like
you can,
perpetual trips. You could say this guy just keep going doing this thing forever.
yeah, just like this outpost needs constantly needs fuel. So keep taking it there like every.
Yeah, and we could make this super active. Like if we're trying to like monetize it, not that that's our goal, but like thinking forward, right? Just um,
Mm.
I'm just thinking here, like have like events, right? That like maybe you kept one of your pilots free, and then an event pops up and says you have 5 minutes to start this mission, and if you do it, you get like 3 times the normal reward or something like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Stuff that's like
Like
that
events
kind of
driven.
demands your attention. It's like, oh, the war broke out, and you need to
Like
take
if
supplies to whatever.
if it's gonna be a mobile app, we want some reason to give them a push notification, right?
Yep.
Um, the last thing like the last thing that I want to do is basically figure out a way for them to not be able to spam the button, and then we can then we basically have like a working prototype, and then all you have to do is fill in different missions and change the icons, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that was
I would
quick.
just keep printing it up for like forever.
I don't do pretty. That's gonna be all on you. I'm here for functionality.
Nope, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I don't know if I've posted this already, but like I've kind of done the soundtrack for it as well because like I do a bit of music, and it's just a 7 minute long like
Yeah, I listened
ambience,
to it.
chill. Yeah, I want it to be like relaxing, but also kind of.
If you go into the music channel
Mm,
and scroll up, Unusual Crow posted a song called Urgency.
okay.
He made his own synthwave track. I fucking love that song. You should go listen to it.
Yeah, no, I'll check it out.
It's like 2 pages up if you scroll on the music channel.
Yeah.
I think it has the vibe that you're going for maybe like a start menu or something.
Yeah, yeah, no, sure, yeah. Like this kind of like sci-fi sort of synthy, like. Woo.
Yeah, you listen to it?
No, not yet. I've only got one screen here, and
Yeah.
wait. Let me find. Is it on?
It's on the music channel. It's like if you scroll all the
Yep,
way to the bottom.
got it. What's his name? Crow.
Unusual Crow, yeah.
Okay.
There should just be a play button in Discord for you to be able to play it. He's like sent the actual MP3.
No, I can't. Hang on.
Do you see the GIF of me sending the fry squinting? It's like the fourth to last
Oh, I think
message.
it's way up. Yeah.
It's like right near the end. It's 4 posts old.
Oh shit. Okay, hang on. I was looking way up.
No,
Um,
his post is the fifth post from most recent.
in the music discussion.
No, just music.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Music
right. Okay.
discussion is where we
Oh,
talk about what the links that we post in music.
fucking thing. Hang on. Yeah.
You see the GIF of the guy squinting?
God, I can't even. I haven't even found the chat.
The music channel?
Yep.
It's directly above music discussion.
Oh, gee, I'm such a fucking chud. Okay, yeah. Yep. Oh, I like this.
This would be good for like a timed event. It's a little bit more
Yeah,
tense.
yeah. I love the idea of you just playing this fucking chill ass game, and then this comes on. It's like fuck.
I gotta focus up.
Yeah.
It's like completely frozen. What do I do?
It's trying to upload all your images. You're just gonna have to wait, babe.
I just want one.
When does it do?
I need to have it turned in tonight.
Well, shit. Tell him it won't upload.
It's broken.
I'm telling you, just upload it to YouTube and send him a link.
I can't.
You can.
No, because it has to be private.
You can make a private YouTube video.
It has to be as an iMovie thing though.
I don't know then.
It's broken.
Why are you looking at me? I don't know what to do. I don't do.
I don't know how to use this thing.
I don't use video editing. Why are you mad at me?
I just need to import this one video.
Google it. That's all I got for you.
I can't. It's frozen.
Shut it off. Shut it off and turn it back on. Unplug your phone first so it doesn't try syncing. Her and technology, man.
Shut down.
Also, it never hits 0. It like resets before it hits 0. I think we're gonna do progress bars in the future anyways, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. Have it be more visual.
Okay, so the only main thing we need to fix right now is making sure the mission can't start if it's already started.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what we need to do is when we start waiting for the mission, we want a mission to have a value called public bool in progress. And then in the game manager, when we start to perform the mission, we say if... Actually, before we even do the coroutine, I don't even want to get in the coroutine because those are kind of expensive. We want to say if the mission buttons mission if it's in progress, just return. Don't do anything, right? We don't want to like queue it up for them after they've clicked it. They should have to click it again.
Huh.
And then when we start to wait for the mission, the first thing we do is we say mission dot in progress is true. Let's try it.
Yep.
I am so good at this.
Yeah, boy.
All right, I'm gonna push up that code before we break it to make sure that it stays working. Added basic UI and missions. So the way this works, I'm gonna walk you through how a pull request works, so that way you know how to
Okay.
do a project. So you'll be doing this in the command line. You can ask me what the commands are. You're just gonna have to do it a couple times before you remember how it works. So what's gonna
Okay.
happen is when I push up something new, and I go back to here, you'll get this yellow highlight on GitHub, and you can hit compare and pull request, or you can go to pull requests and create a new pull request, and you can compare. You want to take it from feature to develop, right? You want to merge it into develop, right? Because we're not doing anything with
Yeah.
master. So what it's going to do is it's going to say, here's all the changes that you've made since you touched develop, right? You can scroll down and see all the changes.
Okay.
We're going to create the pull request, and you can add some more details in it. Like this is pretty descriptive for what we did. I'm going to assign myself to the ticket, and then for reviewers, these are the people that I want to review it. So I'd type in your name, steady pace, and I click on your name, and now you're a reviewer, right? So you'll get like up in the little bell right here, you'll get a notification telling you that I asked you to review.
Okay.
So when I create the pull request, basically what you'll see now is if you just come to the repository, right, you'll see this one up here on pull request. You see there's one open pull request.
Yeah.
So you'll click on it, and you'll see the list of pull requests. So you'll click on mine, and then what you'll do is you'll go to the files changed, and you'll look at all the files that have changed, right? And you'll look through the code and say, yeah, this looks good. And you'll click review changes, and you'll either comment on it, you'll approve it, or you'll request changes, right?
Okay.
And so the majority
It's
of the
so
time, I'll probably be.
tidy.
What's that?
It's so tidy.
Yep. And then on the home page, you'll see like who approved it, who commented on it on this like it's almost like a social media posting style. And then once people have
Yeah.
approved of it, this merge pull request button that's red will turn green, and it'll say, yeah, you can merge this pull request.
Okay.
And then what you'll do is, since that's a branch, you'll basically delete it when you're done because we don't need that timeline anymore. And then you'll create a new branch with feature / whatever you're doing, and then you'll just keep going and
Yeah.
going and going.
Okay.
So that's the basic process for Git. There'll be, you'll either want to find like a UI version, like I believe there's Git tree, Git Kraken. There's a bunch of different UIs for it. I just use GitHub Desktop. This is just like the UI for it, right?
Yeah.
Or you could do it all in the command line. I'd almost recommend doing it in the command line so you can figure out what's going on under the hood when you're doing these things.
The command line is the.
The terminal.
Yeah. Okay.
So here,
Oh, okay.
I'll send you a link for it. Mac Git command line. There should be an easy way to set up and install it. Install Git on Mac. Oh, this one's out of date. Installing Git. Installing on Linux, installing on Macs. There's several ways to install it. The easiest is probably to install the Xcode command line tools. If you hit command space and type in terminal, you see the terminal that pops up?
Oh, wait. On mine?
Yeah, on your computer.
Yeah.
Okay, command space and type in terminal. Does the terminal pop up?
Just give it a minute.
Yep, it's a slow boy.
Yeah, it's a slow boy. Yeah, terminal.
Yep, and now you see your command line.
Wait, I'm opening it. Let me just close the full screen here. Come on. Yep, there we go.
Okay, just type in the word Git, G-I-T, and hit enter.
Git.
What does it say?
Oh, fuck.
Hmm.
Install? Do I install?
Yeah, if it gives you the option. I didn't know it was going to be that easy.
Yeah, that was fucking. Git install, motherfucker. Yeah, that was surprisingly easy. It's finding software, downloading software, taking a sweet ass time. Yep, it's going. So I guess like one thing I could, when sort of not on this, is just try to build like the most explicit description of what this thing is as possible, right? Like, so the more I can like put it into words, the better, right?
I'll go ahead and type up the proposal for you.
Okay.
Or I'll send you a message that you would put in proposals because this is going to be your project, right? I mean, I'm going to help you
Okay.
do
Yeah.
it, but like you're going to be the one leading it, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I can't take on another project. Sorry.
No, no, no. Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I'll help you when I can, but I do have a lot of responsibility within One Leaf.
Yeah, yeah. But then that would be like kind of uh on the readme thing, just have it like be described as best as I can, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There you go. It should be as simple as that.
Okay.
So you'll send that in the proposal channel. Zach will see it. We'll meet tomorrow. We'll talk about it. I'll explain what you're doing, and then we'll approve of it, and we'll see if we can't help find more members to work on it because it'll be a very beginner-friendly project.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'll just post this link in the.
That whole message I sent you, just copy and paste it and post it in the proposal channel. You got lucky. I
Perfect.
handled it for
Okay.
you.
Oh my god, thank you so much. Like, I'm still like, thank you for being so extreme. By the way, I'm just like, I've barely used Discord in my life, and like Unity and GitHub, I'm still kind of making my way through it. So thank you for being extremely patient.
Yeah.
It's all a charade.
Is that Pengu?
It might be. How'd the stream go?
Pretty damn
Oh,
good.
it was fucking brilliant.
You setting up Stefano on a project on One Leaf?
Yeah, we're making an idle game in Unity.
No shit. Did you get done with Snake?
As done as we could. We sidetracked really hard.
Well, I saw. I'm looking at the One Leaf YouTube because I was gonna watch, try and at least catch some of the stream. Another 3-hour one, Sabian. Come on.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm too good.
I think halfway through we decided to make a solar that kind of got out of hand.
And I think